So the main reason that we're protesting today has to do with the fact that nobody has ever invited us to any keggers on or off campus. We've never been invited to any parties. We've never even been looked at by any men. I mean, I used to be into men, but then I decided that it would be easier to be non-binary. So these are the main reasons that we are against Israel. It is also really frustrating that many of the Jewish students at this school seem to have large friend groups and are able to meet people and have fun and have a good time, and we just see that as colonialism at play. So without colonialism, we would be able to level the playing field and make sure that students like us would be the center of attention as opposed to popular people.
I fucking knew it!
What do you do in New York City, Ricky? What are you doing?
I get around.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah? Ah. No. No.
You fucking bitch!
Oh.
Stay down, bitch!
You shot 3-year-olds in the head?
But we're Jewish!
You hog-tied children and executed them?
Fuck you!
And then buried them alive?
But it's my favorite thing!
You bombed doctors and nurses?
But the Holocaust!
And then ran them over with tanks?
I didn't do it!
You bombed food relief workers.
It wasn't us!
You've single-handedly destroyed the entire education and healthcare infrastructure in Gaza?
We have a right to defend!
You bombed UN workers. No. You slaughtered entire families by waiting till they got home at night and bombed them at 5 a.m. when you knew they would be there?
Fuck you!
You bombed people trying to eat food?
They did it!
You bombed people trying to receive humanitarian aid?
We're looking into it!
And you bombed the people that were trying to administer humanitarian aid.
We conducted an investigation and we found we did nothing wrong!
You roped off entire neighborhoods and then bulldozed over them?
You're being anti-Semitic!
You sent drones into Gaza playing audio of children crying to lure Palestinians out and then massacred them?
But like the Holocaust!
You used AI-generated kill lists and didn't bother to double-check the names.
Oh, that's the Netzah Hayuda!
You set up kill zones where anyone that meandered into this invisible zone was automatically targeted for death.
No, that's the Netzah Yahuda!
Then you bombed the ambulances who were coming to help those people that were bombed.
Netzah Yahuda!
You're not allowing independent investigations?
It wasn't us, it was the Netzah Yahuda!
You sniped journalists.
We're looking into it!
You killed teachers and students.
It's just a few bad apples is all!
You used disproportionate violence.
Now we get to be the Gestapo!
You bombed a refugee camp?
Now we get to be the Gestapo!
And then ran them over with tanks?
But we're Jewish!
You don't have to go to hell. You're in hell. This is hell. This is hell. This is hell.
Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
Then strangled them, and finally dismembered their bodies.
Right.
Then do and homelessness and all that.
And now, the voice you've been waiting for.
There is a secret song at the center of the world, and its sound is like razors through flesh. I'm here to turn up the volume. I'm kind of retarded.
Well, it sure didn't take long for those college protests to turn violent, did it? And shit, if they'd have waited just a couple more days before sending in the cops, they wouldn't have looked like such assholes, would they? It kinda reminds me of Kanye. You know, if he would have waited just, 7 or 8 months before going full-blown Nick Fuentes mode, things probably would have gone pretty different. But apparently some people didn't seem to think that these protests were even gonna go in that direction when it seemed pretty obvious. People like this fat, stupid sack of shit.
How do you think that these schools should be approaching these protests?
In the opposite way that most of them are doing it. I mean, what's great about the democracy and free speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of not having a state religion. This is what those who came here, the white people who came here, are wanting to escape that. And so the lesson teaching the children of today, in this case Gen Z, that we will tase you, we will beat you, we will club you. If you, none of them are committing any acts of violence. None of them are destroying the university. The worst, maybe in some people's minds, they're doing is holding signs that say "Free Palestine."
What'd you just say?
None of them are committing any acts of violence. None of them are destroying the university.
And then what happened? I shit you not, the next fucking day.
We have breaking news right now. Protests at Columbia University escalating, with students breaking into and taking control of a university building. Columbia had started suspending students who remained in the pro-Palestine encampment outside there past Monday afternoon. Some of them had been leaving. But shortly after midnight, a student smashed a window of Hamilton Hall with a hammer.
None of them are destroying the university.
This is a very intense escalation from how it has been for the past several hours. There was a rally and silent vigil.
And then all week long, I'm watching Good Morning America and World News Tonight. There's all these stories about the protests, and I didn't see at one time even fucking mention the anti-Semitic hate speech bill that they passed in Congress. And it's hard to imagine this not getting overturned by the courts. They try to criminalize speech even down to just criticizing Israel. They're even trying to criminalize saying that Jesus was killed by the Jews. I'm not even a Christian, but yeah, according to the historical record, that's what happened.
How dare you!
The real irony here is that this bill to stop anti-Semitic speech is going to do exactly the opposite, and you're probably going to see a lot more anti-Semitic tropes in the future. Of course, that was probably the actual goal all along. And I was laughing my ass off watching Biden get up there and say, okay, well, yeah, you have a right to protest, but not violent protest. It's against the law when violence occurs. Destroying property is not a peaceful protest. Vandalism, trespassing, breaking windows, shutting down campuses, none of this is a peaceful protest. Okay, yeah, do BLM next. No! This is such a good wedge issue, turning the blue-tarded folks against each other, and the entertainment value is off the charts.
And the only thing I want to remind Americans, though, as they're protesting, is, and we've heard it. We've heard them call Joe Biden, a genocidal assassin and all sorts of things. There is not one group that anybody is protesting over that will be better off under Donald Trump. So be very careful that you don't cut off your nose to spite your face by not showing up to vote in November. Because the first thing that Donald Trump did when he became president was issue a Muslim ban. And if you think not showing up to vote is not going to help Donald Trump get elected, and Donald Trump will give Palestine any justice, I want what you're smoking.
Oh, the fucking Muslim ban. It'd be way more accurate to call it the countries we just got done bombing and or overthrowing the governments of ban. But yeah, I guess that's just too long-winded. And this lady's supposed to be a fucking Republican, and this fucking Pelosi clip had me rolling.
Some of them will always reject those of us who may look different to them in leadership or the rest, and that's that. But there are those who have real legitimate concerns about immigration, globalization, innovation, and what does that mean for their job and their family's future? And we have to address those concerns. And Joe Biden is doing that, created 9 million jobs in his term in office. Donald Trump has the worst record of job loss of any president. So we just have to make sure people know.
That was a global pandemic.
He had the worst record of any president. We've had other concerns in our country. If you want to be an apologist for Donald Trump, that may be your role, but it ain't mine. And he has the worst. I don't think that anybody can accuse me of that. But let me just say, as a Speaker of the House, we put forth a $3 trillion bill.
You almost feel bad for this chick, having to sit there and you're supposed to just agree with everything this old windbag has to fucking say, even though it's completely ridiculous. Barely even pushing back, saying, well, yeah, I mean, a lot of people lost their jobs because there was a fucking pandemic where you assholes shut the whole country down. Oh, don't be a Trump apologist. That would be something I've never heard said to an MSNBC host. At least there's some counterbalance to this cringy fucking brown-nosing shit you've seen coming lately from people like Howard Stern.
thank you for doing this today. I want to thank you for your compassion. You know, the reason I'm so excited to talk to you was because I wanted to understand the tragedy in your life and how you dealt with it. And you're the kind of leader I love, because we're lucky to have you in the Oval Office and serving as the father of the country. Because if you're a good father to your family, which you are, I know you'd be a good father to the country. And I want to thank you for providing a calming influence.
Fuck you.
What a fucking D-bag he became, huh? And what's with this daddy sh**? You had the female version of that coming from fucking Drew Barrymore.
I keep thinking in my head that we all need a mom. I've been thinking that we really all need a tremendous hug in the world right now.
Yeah.
But in our country, we need you to be Mamala of the country.
God, it's hard to watch shit like that. It makes you want to laugh and puke at the same time. Especially since she was actually one of my adolescent crushes. When she did that movie with Chris O'Donnell, Mad Love, I had a real thing for her, and it makes me wish I had a time machine. Go back in time and I'd punch myself right in the dick and say, listen kid, in 30 years you're gonna understand. But they're really doing a full court press trying to make it seem like Joey Skid Marks isn't as widely hated as he is. Like you had the video from that one protest where you had protesters on both sides chanting, "Fuck Joe Biden." And somehow the network news missed picking up on that one. And they also seemed to miss the other Boeing whistleblower dying unexpectedly.
Oh, how convenient!
For some reason, this article used the picture of the whistleblower who testified to Congress last month, but he's not the one who died. The one who died's picture appears nowhere in this article. Young guy, his family said he ate real good and exercised a lot, and all of a sudden he gets MRSA and sepsis and fucking dies. Nothing suspicious about that, right? I think last week I mentioned something about hoping to one day get some hate mail and some death threats, so I'm really not sure how for real this is. So if this is somebody trying to make me feel better, I do appreciate the effort. And if it's for real, I'm very confused, as I'm not really sure what the talking shit about KY posts means. Does that mean Kentucky or the lube? Well, either way, I got a good chuckle out of it, so thank you for that. And also thank you for the suggestions on the post-apocalyptic movies. There were some really good ones that I've only watched the trailer for so far, but I got a nice list for when I have some more downtime. And most of the ones people mentioned are movies I hadn't seen yet. I gotta say props to Bender for bringing up Cherry 2000. I mean, yeah, it's a cheesy, very much 80s movie, but it was really good. And I'm pretty surprised nobody brought up Tank Girl. That would probably be my second favorite all time. But my favorite is definitely Six String Samurai. I think it was Weary Traveler mentioned that one, and yeah, I love that movie. I know that probably wouldn't be everybody's cup of tea. It is really cheesy, corny, unrealistic, but it's a goddamn entertaining movie. And the soundtrack is top-notch too. They got it free on YouTube if anybody wants to check it out. Another thing one of you might be able to help me with is I'm looking for an AI image generator that's not fucking retarded. Some of you may have noticed I've been messing with one of these lately. It's got all these stupid fucking rules. I can't show images of violence or anything close to violence, and it won't do likenesses of famous people. A few weeks back I tried to get it to make me an image of trying to throw your fat trans neighbor over the balcony to break your fall when you jump, and it wouldn't do it. And then I tried to get it to make like a cartoon image of me. I said, hey, you know, make an image of a guy with a mohawk, with a white dress shirt, red suspenders, slacks, combat boots with red laces, flipping the bird. And it generated a pretty good one, but I said, hey, can you do the same image but with no necktie? It said, okay, here's the same image with no necktie. Come on now, the necktie is still there. I want the same image but with no necktie. And it did it again. I said, what is your problem? Do you not know what a necktie is? And I guess I made it mad, because then it popped this out. I said, holy shit, I pissed off an AI. But I gotta say, the more I look at this image, it kinda grows on me. It's funny looking. But yeah, if anybody could suggest a good AI image generator to play with, that would be greatly appreciated. So there is several different prepping channels that I follow their content regularly, and one of them that lots of the other people like to shit all over is this guy. And they whine about how he's a fearmonger, but other than covering the developments of what is eventually going to be referred to as World War III, he does a lot of informative content. Like I had mentioned some while ago about how he had the video of how to create your own pepper spray. This past week he put out this video about using pool shock to make your own bleach and purify water, because bottles of bleach have a very short shelf life and they lose potency, whereas you get the pool shock and it will last indefinitely. But I saw this interview he did the other day, and I don't really know who the fuck this guy is, but he did seem to know what he was talking about. It's sort of a long video, it's an hour long, but I do think it's worth watching, because one of the main things he talks about that I can definitely see as plausible is that nobody in the government really has an emergency plan for a total grid down situation. Everybody likes to think, oh, continuity of government, they've got a plan for everything. Well, not really. Their plan, if there's a nuclear war or some shit, is to go underground and wait it out while we all die off and kill each other. And it would basically be the same thing with an extended grid down situation. If you had a cyber attack or even physical attacks on the grid, all the high up muckety mucks would run and hide and let chaos ensue, and then try to come and mop up at the end. And the reason why they don't have more extensive of a plan for dealing with something like this is because there's really nothing they can do. So if you find yourself with an hour to kill, I would recommend checking this interview out. Of course, we gotta stay mindful of the fact that it might not go down like that, where a switch flips and it's like in World War Z, where all of a sudden everything goes from normal to completely fucking crazy. There's just as much, or maybe even more of a possibility that it is excruciatingly slow, where it is more like the original Mad Max, where you've got some semblance of a government trying to hang on. And that's why I tried to stress a few weeks ago the importance of cultivating some barterable skills. And by now it should be pretty obvious to everybody that we're in for a pretty fucking rough couple of years ahead of us. But the circumstance that you actually find yourself in could vary greatly depending only on the timeline of how quickly things fall apart. So the trick is to be just as ready for a slow grind as you are for an immediate descent into chaos. Because at this point, I'd honestly give it 50-50 odds. Sláinte.
In this world is my thoughts and my words, and I don't break them for no one. You understand? So say good night to the bad guy. So say good night to the bad guy. So say good night to the bad guy. Say good night to the bad guy. Come on. Come on. Don't fuck with me! I told you! Don't fuck with me! I told you! Don't fuck with me! You stupid fuck! Look at you now! Look at you now!